Welcome to YWAM Rostrevor's very first YWAM-athon. My name is Abby.
And I'm McKenna.
And we'll be your hosts tonight. Tonight we have all kinds of wonderful musical acts, interviews, and more from a delightful staff and crew.
And tonight we are broadcasted here from Rostrevor, Northern Ireland. So we are here, a YWAM community, a Christian missions community that has a huge heart for reconciliation, for hospitality, for training, and many more things. You'll hear all about some different ministries that we're involved in tonight. But I wanted to invite you as well, as we'll laugh and we'll hear some songs. This is also meant to be an invitation for you to become a part of our ministries here in a very practical way. So this is a fundraiser as well. We have a couple of different projects that we would love to see happen now and in the future that we would love to invite you into. So one of those things is simply this property. We received this property about 10 years ago, and before that it was a place during the Troubles that was a place of reconciliation and hope. We would love to continue to have that be a place where community is welcomed, where people of all sides can come and feel welcomed here. So very practically during this time of pandemic, we need some support for that. So please be thinking if you'd like to support us in that practical way. Also, another ministry we'd like to invite you into is our sponsor trainee program. That was birthed out of a vision to see reconciliation happening in places of conflict all around the world. We have different nations that we actually train up young leaders in their communities to be people of hope and reconciliation in those places. Over the years, we've had 30 people, probably plus, that have come from all different countries overseas to receive training here in discipleship, to receive a foundational truths in who Jesus is and the power of reconciliation in the nations. And our heart is to actually raise up those leaders to go back into their home countries and to transform the communities around them. So we would really love for you, as this night goes on, if God is tugging on your hearts, or if you just really like to partner with us, then we would love for you to partner with us financially. So if somebody did want to do that, how would they do that, Abby?
Well, you can just go to the link on the screen, or it will be linked in the comments below throughout this broadcast. Also, make sure to be interacting with us throughout the night, as we might give you a shout out. But before we begin, I would like to just say that we are a household together under one roof, and during this time of pandemic, we are doing everything possible to stay safe, and we hope you are as well.
And for our very first act of the night, it will be a musical number from our DTS trainee named Brianna Austin. Over to you.
Like they mentioned before, my name is Bree Austin, and I am privileged to share a couple of songs with you guys this evening. The first song is called The Gardener by Holly Aerosmith. The clouds roll in down the valley where the hills are green and yellow flowers grow. Though the seabirds seem to know that the weather is coming and it's time to go, and I watch it all through my window. Outside there is a garden on the warmer days. I tend to it. In the morning as I pull and plant, I realize it's just like they said. Yes, suddenly it all comes back to me that a garden had been foretold. Here it is. Where are you? Are you amongst all that grows? Did I pull weeds? Well, I wonder holy light in a song, in a song, and I am hopeful. Thank you. All right, thank you. This second song is a Bruce Cockburn song. It's called Child of the Wind. It reminds me of being in the Colorado mountains. That's where I grew up, and it also reminds me of my father, who likes this song a lot, and used to bring us, to just bring us into the woods, and it really shaped a lot of who I am. So here it is. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I love the pounding of hooves. I love engines that roar. I love the wild music of the waves on the shore and the spiral perfection of a hawk when it soars. I love my sweet woman down to the core. Ooh, ooh. Well, there's roads and there's roads, and they call, can't you hear them? Roads of the earth and roads of the spirit, but the best roads of all are the ones that aren't certain. One of those is where you'll find me when they drop the big curtain. Hear the wind moan in the bright diamond sky. These mountains are waiting, brown, green, and dry. I'm too old for the term, but I'll use it anyway. I'll be a child of the wind till the end of my days. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Little round planet in a big universe. Sometimes it looks blessed, sometimes it looks cursed. Depends on what you look at, obviously. But even more, it depends on the way that you see. Hear the wind moan in the bright diamond sky. These mountains are waiting, brown, green, and dry. I'm too old for the term, but I'll use it anyway. I'll be a child of the wind till the end of my days. Ooh. Thank you.
Thank you, Brianna. That was so beautiful. I loved it. Thank you. All right. So for our next segment, we have our very own Johnny Clark interviewing DTS trainee Kaletus Achu.
Hi everyone. I think we're is the way it is. There we go. I think we're on. So the world can hear us. So this is, I think a lot of you might know me. I'm Johnny. I lead our community here. And this is Clay, who we've been really blessed to know in this last couple of years. Since 2002, we have offered scholarships every year to a number of people, particularly from post-conflict nations. So the number is in the probably over 50, I think. Young people have come and spent 6 to 12 months with us, and then had their life transformed and then gone back to their own countries and been the hands and feet of Jesus in those kind of places. Clay is the first Cameroonian we've had on this base. And when he came, he was originally he had applied to come, and I didn't know much about Cameroon. And quickly found, obviously it's a beautiful country, but it's a country that's actually has war in it at the moment. And so it's been really great to be able to offer a haven. We call this place a harbor on Kuan. It's been great to create a harbor for Clay. It's been great to have you, Clay. So thanks for being here.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, tell us about your hometown, your home area. What does it look like? What is the name of your town?
My hometown is called Munya, M-U-E-A.
Okay.
Munya. Precisely, I'm coming from Cameroon. Why I call it Cameroon is because there's two Cameroons. There's no one Cameroon. Right now, as we're talking, there's genocide going back home. Yeah, which Cameroon is being made up of 10 regions. But out of the 10 regions, 8 regions speak French, which is the former colony from France, and 2 regions, they are the former British colony, which is the name of Southern Cameroon, which some Southern Cameroonians have named it Ambazonia right now.
So there are 2 regions of Cameroon that are English-speaking, which is where you're from, and the majority population is French-speaking. And at the moment, the English-speaking people are under kind of attack from the majority government. Clay, before we go into that kind of stuff, tell us about your childhood and your upbringing. Like, what's your background?
Okay. Before I was born, 3 weeks before I was born, before my mom gave birth to me, I lost my dad. And then when I was giving birth, at the age of about 1 year, 9 months, I was abandoned. My mom abandoned me to my grandmom. So I started living with my grandmom all that years. I'm right up to the age of about 14 years old when my grandmom passed on to glory. So on to that stage, I started living maybe on the street, maybe start hustling on the street by my own, like no one to look out, like was just like struggling to survive, all that years right up to the moment which I discovered that, okay, which I have to discover some purpose of my God in my life, or in one way or the other, So, me growing up, it was not an easy task of me growing up. It was not really an easy task growing up. But to me right now, since I came to YWAM, I've come to realize one thing that is, which they taught us in classes. In any situation, if you hear someone maybe saying something bad or something weird about he or somewhere else or society, knows that there must be something beautiful in that area. Which I happened to realize that there was something beautiful in my childhood while growing.
So you had real challenges from birth, and you've managed to kind of keep going. And you've had some interesting people. I wasn't planning to ask you this, but one of the people was a priest in your home. In your home area? Can you tell us about the priest that kind of really helped you in your faith and helped you in your journey?
Yeah, while growing up, I had some lovely people around me. I had some cool, lovely people. So most of them were age people of like old people, which I usually love being around them, because I believe being around those people, I have to grab some inspiration from them. And they notice me, they quickly like call team attention or like pay attention to me when I'm down. They want paying attention to ask me like what is going on, because I grew up in such an environment that no one to care for me, no one to like ask me like, how you doing, So expressing myself at times it is like it it was bad. It was somehow difficult expressing myself out there, unless someone walked up to me, asked me like, Claire, I saw you, like, what's happening, you know? So I have some couple of prophets, like it's Father Andrew. I have this parish priest. It's someone which I never knew him since when I was growing up. Unless was this particular moment when we were playing soccer. I usually love playing soccer when I was growing up. So this man usually comes around, maybe watching us playing soccer. So on this fateful day, he walked up to me, you know, greeting me. He gave me chewing gum, like, just greet me, say like, I love the way you're playing. He gave me words of encouragement. So that is how it all started, you know. We become friends. Like, he started inviting me over, you know, to the church, like for once in a while. Though I was at times having maybe some quarrel with him, you know, like because of maybe the way I grew up and the way the way I saw things when I was growing up. So to me, at times, certain things that he was maybe telling me was somehow challenging for me to accept it, you know. But I came to realize that some of those things, maybe some of the things that he was saying to me was the reality that I have to just accept it and maybe move on.
And so that was some of the early spiritual influences in your life, and then you've come here on DTS, and one of the weeks we always have on our DTS here in Northern Ireland is a week on reconciliation, where we look at the commandment of Jesus to love our neighbor as ourselves, love our enemy, blessed are the peacemakers, and we kind of really understand that reconciliation is very much central to the calling of Jesus on our life. And on your school, you had Rami Taleb, who I think may be appearing a bit later today. He kind of came via Zoom to speak on your school. And tell us about that week. What was important to you and what he said?
About that week, it was, you know, since there are certain things which I'm beginning to learn here, which back home I never knew some of those things. Like, for example, like Zoom. You know, back home we heard of Zoom, but I didn't really know what Zoom was. So during that period, when we started, the pandemic started, we started using Zoom. So to me, it was like, what? That means they can use Zoom like to do something, like to get in contact with maybe a huge number of people, like, you know, stuff like that. So we created a WhatsApp group. Maybe the diaspora, Southern Cameroon, diaspora. So we created a WhatsApp group. So when we're having this topic in class, you know, maybe during weekend, after the lectures of that week, during weekend, we happen to like hold this WhatsApp group. Like, so I was talking with this my fellow brothers and sisters, like talking with them, like, okay, I'm having some few stuff like to share out here, maybe. But it doesn't mean that maybe we have to start implementing some of those things right now, you know. But we should just be praying that there should be time for like everything should die down back home for us to like start implementing certain things. So they were asking my consent. So what are those things that maybe you want us to share with us? So I was like somehow like telling them maybe some of the things that maybe I learned from, not just from the lectures, but from his life story, you know. From his life story, for what he has experienced back home when he was growing up. So some of those things, there was one lady who, she's based in US. She started weeping, you know. She started weeping. Like, to her, it was like the person is from Southern Cameroon. From the story of the person which I was telling them, it's like the person is coming from Southern Cameroon. All the suffering, and all the rest, you know. So it was very difficult, maybe explain some of those things. But even though I didn't go out to details because it was so emotional, but I believe that week was very, 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 very huge and maybe created impact in me. Yeah.
What would it? Do you think what is the hardest thing that he spoke that for you to kind of deal with?
First, when Rami shared the story of him sharing a room with a Palestinian, which he saw Palestinian as an oppressing and people like the set of people, a nation which not just a person but a nation which like they oppress them, like they see them opposite from them, like they see them like, for example, like some of my case of maybe some of my friends, or even me myself, like before coming here, they were to see the French people or like the French speaking people. So hearing Rami sharing a room with someone like an oppressor opposite from him or like an enemy, maybe as I can say, it was something like, what is that possible? How can that happen?
How can you share a room with an enemy?
Yeah, that is suicide.
Yeah. So that was 2005. Rami was our first Lebanese student to Belfast, and he was sharing a room with George from the West Bank, and there's a complicated relationship between a lot of those Middle Eastern nations. And I remember being with him as he walked into that room and seeing someone who represented the enemy. And did you feel like in your DTS you've been able to look at the issue of what it would be like to forgive somehow, or has that become a real thing in your life?
One thing also which I like, which Rami said to me, was it's not something for nights. It's something like you have to persist time. You have to process some of those things. Time heals all. It will not heal everyone, but they will be scarred a bit. With time, just be praying, keep up reading your Bibles, and maybe like involving God in every situation. With time, everything will like die down. Even though the scar will still be there, yes, but you will learn to forgive those people. Yeah,
but it can be hard in the moment to just kind of, forgiveness is not an easy thing. It's one of the things we teach is there's a process, a journey of forgiveness. Tell us, Clay, about Cameroon. Like you've had a good friend who was killed. Like what have you seen there?
One of my reasons which I would not like to even call myself somewhere like maybe a Cameroonian or like a Cameroonian is because I'm having like multiple scars. Like first, I lost my best friend. Secondly, I'm having a scar on myself, which I almost got killed, by the military. So and then again, my sponsor to be, right now she cannot walk. She can no longer walk again, because of the bullet from the military, not from the guerrilla fighters, but from the military, which is it something uncounted. If I start calling, like, we'll start sharing pictures of some of those things. Some people will not even have that appetite to eat something like a meat.
Yeah, I think it's been really moving, Clay, to hear the stories of what's happening there. I didn't know. Sadly, the news in the West doesn't seem to report much, and I think you've done a good job of sharing with us the reality that Cameroon is a country where there's war going on, and where it could be even a genocide, and for the people in your area are very much suffering in that. And so thanks for giving a voice to your people. Maybe we could just finish this with I could just pray for Cameroon. Is that okay? And for yourself? So Father, we thank you for Cameroon. Thank you for a beautiful country. We recognize that right now there's war there, and there's killing, and there's people feeling afraid. And we just pray that as we hear Clay speak to us, we see his face, see his body with us. We recognize there are many bodies in Cameroon and people that need help, and they need your peace. And we pray for your peace in that land, and that you would restore and reconcile this broken place, and help us to be your hands and feet whatever way we can. Amen. Thank you, Clay, for sharing. Thanks for being here and being a joyful presence among us in the midst of all that you've gone through. Thanks, Clay.
Well, thank you, Clay and Johnny, for leading us in that interview. I know it's really powerful for me to hear stories from real people who have gone through, just the things that you have. So thank you for sharing that. So quickly, before we go on to our next segment, just a couple shout outs. Thank you for joining us, our friends from Chile for Barabara. Welcome, welcome. We have friends from Brazil that are here, people from Bangor up north. We have people from just around the corner. So thank you all for joining us, and we really look forward to hearing you more. Enjoy the comment section. Please tell us all of your thoughts and your feelings and things. So up next, we are going to transition into a creative presentation. So we have a DTS that's here at the moment, and it's an arts and media school. And so when the pandemic hit, we asked the students to kind of contemplate what the concept of hope really means to them, and to create something that would proclaim hope during this really dark time. So next up, we have our DTS trainee, Aiden, who will be sharing his Hope Project.
Hello, I'm Aiden. I just finished my DTS, or about to finish my DTS here on the Arts and Media DTS, and I wanted to present my Hope project. This was a video project that I was able to make while being here. Shout out to Ruby, Krista, and Fra. They're three of the staff here, and they really helped me make this vision come to life and really offered the facilities for it to come to fruition. But it was a really cool experience, and just to share a bit of the process of making it. When we were presented the prompts to like make a project based around hope, I was actually really challenged by that. Well, like at first I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then I was really challenged when I realized that I actually didn't really hold on to hope very much. I had very much rationalized life, and hope wasn't something that I needed. And I really, in the process of making this video, went through this process of noticing where in life I had left hope behind and where I hadn't valued it. And it was really just like kind of wrote out a spoken word piece about my journey with hope and my journey with realizing how essential it is, and that it's a good thing. And then I scripted it and wrote it, and here it is for you now. I'm not an expert on hope, but here we go. I've always been hopeful in some respect. I imagine most people have, but my hope wasn't always the healthiest thing. Hoping is something contextual, after all. I definitely didn't see the fundamental role it played in my day-to-day life. And looking back, I might have done myself a disservice sometimes in what I put my hope in. I hoped in myself and my own ability. What I hoped in, which was my ability, wasn't always there when I needed it. Since I'd often told myself that I can take whatever comes my way and be strong through any loss and hurt. However, I'm a human with limits. And when I didn't make the cut, I lost hope in myself and for myself. Losing hope is actually when I needed it most, and carrying on actually doesn't make much sense without hope. But I see now that hoping is something good. Without hope, there's just despair. Hoping is scary, though, especially when the world seems turbulent. It's an essential to life, to a free, life-giving life. And my hopes are part of me, like bricks building a house. I've been shaped and influenced by my hopes, either fulfilled, prolonged, or broken. I've come to realize that I need hope. Hope gives strength to keep going through troubled days or months or even years. I hope for light to come into dark places. I hope that hurts I've hid will heal. And I do hope that my hope will grow. I guess what I've learned is it's important to hold on to hope. To choose a hope that won't fail me. And I hope you can too.
Thank you, Eden. I personally know how much effort you took to make that message of hope, and I am so grateful because I know in this time of confusion and chaos how much that means to people. So thank you so much for making that. And just a reminder to all of you out there watching, if you would like to donate, there is a link in the comment below. But for our next segment, we have Lydia, a longtime staff member here, who will be sharing her heart about the Focus Nations with us.
Hi, it's lovely to be with you this evening. My name is Lydia. I am originally from Argentina, But I've been living here in Northern Ireland for almost 15 years now. I came in 2005, and I came to Belfast, where our team was based at that time. And as you may know, Northern Ireland was known for a violent history of conflict, of war, civil war, between people from different Catholic and Protestant backgrounds. It was very painful, and the country, when I came, it was coming out of the painful history and trying to walk into a new area of reconciliation and peace. We stay in Belfast with a team in a very particular area called the Shankill Road, that it was a hot spot during the Troubles. And in that place, we were doing all sorts of community work, going into schools, doing breakfast clubs, and running discipleship training schools, and investing in the community. But we also started to pray for other nations that had similar things in common with Northern Ireland, that had a history of conflict. That is how the projects for the Adopting Focused Nations started, and also the sponsoring trainees to come from these nations. That's how it all started, just praying and saying, God, how can we be involved? How can we answer? And prayerfully, we adopted nations like South Africa, Palestine, Israel, India, China, Burundi, Rwanda, Lebanon. The list kept growing. We started sharing resources, sending outreach teams, sharing with other ministries that were already at work in the place, working for reconciliation and peace. And as we kept praying, we met with so many young people that loved Jesus in these nations. They loved Jesus, they wanted to do something for their country, but they didn't have the financial means to further in their training. So we took a step of faith. We took a step of faith and we said, God, we want to invest in these people, and with your help, we want to fundraise to bring these people from these nations. And that's how we did. That's how over the years we have so many of them coming, meeting Jesus in deeper ways, with their lives being transformed, but also having now a new story to share, not only in Northern Ireland at the time when they were here, but also when they were back to their countries to share with their own communities. Peacemaking, building bridges, taking a message of hope. It's one of those stories that I want to share with you now. It's the story of my good friend Rami. Rami was our first Lebanese student. He was very young. He was just 18, 19 when he came to Belfast, and he stayed with us for a few years. Not only did he DTS, but he stayed as a staff. But Rami's background was also very troubled. He grew up in the time of a civil war in Lebanon, and his life was torn apart by the history of his country and the war, devastation, stories. But in this place, he met Jesus in a deeper way. And also, he realized that God was sowing seeds in his life, seeds of peace and transformation. And he wanted to send and share those seeds with his own nation. So many years after, he went back home. He got married to a beautiful lady called Rula, a very good friend of ours, and working with YWAM. But in 2011, the war happened in Syria. A lot of people were displaced. Thousands of people lost their homes, lost their lives. And there were many refugees coming to Lebanon. And the YWAM team there said, we need to do something. Father, how do we respond to this crisis? And they felt that the first thing that they needed to do was to invest in the new generation, in the kids. That there were refugees there, but they didn't have any school. They didn't have any training. They didn't even have a safe place to be kids. So they pioneered a school. They started a school, and we visited the school several times, taking our staff there to share with them. And in that school, they actually taught the curriculum. They educated around 165 kids every year from different backgrounds, refugee kids, and it was a safe place for them also to learn about Jesus. But that's not how the story ends. It's not just a school. Now they actually pioneer another ministry in YWAM that is called Principles for Forgiveness and Reconciliation. And they're taking this training to all local schools, not only with refugees and in refugee camps, but also primary, secondary school, government places, workplaces, orphanages. They are discipling a nation. That is the story that we want to live with you today. Seeds that grow and multiply affected a nation. Rami and Rula today are discipling a nation. This is the video that you are going to see today, now, in a few minutes. And it's going to just share a couple of glimpses of stories, the places where they are involved and they go and they work. I hope you enjoy.
Stand up. Stand strong.
جر العنب، فخلينا كلياتنا سوا نوقف ضد العنب.
Changed my life. It healed me. It helped me to understand life and humanity in different ways. So we created the Foundation for Forgiveness and Reconciliation, so we can help young people to deal with the conflict in non-violent ways. We invite you to partner with us to teach young generations to become peacemakers and make good decisions.
It has been a joy to be able to partner with Rami and Rula and YWAM Lebanon, to be part of their journey, a joy to be part of their journey as they disciple this nation. But we have another story for you. And this is a bit of a love story. So our friend Christy from Canada, she came in 2005 and she did her DTS with us in Belfast. She stayed as a staff, stayed for a few years with us after that. And in the a year later, she met in Togo. And Togo is from South Africa. They fall in love and they got married. They felt that God was inviting them to go back to South Africa. And in all those years, they had this dream. The dream, it was the same, to multiply that seed, to spread the message of peace and love and transformation back to their own communities. Over the years, they got kids. Christy was trained. She became a teacher. And she's teaching now in a primary school. And also, they had been praying and developing their own organization that has one focus. And the focus is to communicate value and identity to people who don't have much financial means, or that they have their lives being torn out by not only poverty, but by drugs and death and sickness, and to work in the townships. They have a dream, they have a plan, they have been praying, and they feel that the time is now. And we also invite you to share in their story and to pray for them as we partner with them as they start this new journey, trying to share their love with the community. It's a little video about Christian in Togo, and hope that you enjoy it.
Hello everybody, we hope you guys are doing so well, and we were really excited to make a video for you guys today because we really want to communicate to you face to face, heart to heart, and let you guys know that, man, we are so thankful for you guys. We have been through a lot in this last season, but you've really journeyed with us. We really felt supported and encouraged, and guys, we so appreciate you. So from the bottom of our heart, thank you so much just for being part of our lives, for that sense of community that we have. We're very grateful. And guys, during this COVID-19 time that we've all been trying to navigate, we really feel like God is reminding us of what we've walked through with Him and calling us into something as well. So during this time, we've been working in churches, we've been working with local NGOs, we've been working in schools. Our heart has been to champion young people, to build relationships with them so that we can disciple them and lead them into a deeper knowledge of Christ, relationship with Christ, and that they will truly know their identity and their purpose. So, we feel like God now, during this COVID-19 time, has really been speaking to our hearts and asking us, will you take it a step further?
Yeah, and this time has caused us to reflect with this lockdown and said, what kind of legacy are we going to leave behind? What has God promised us? What has God said to us? And it brought us back to the scripture that was in our heart when we met, Isaiah 61, where Jesus said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me to preach the good news to the poor, to free the captive, to comfort those who mourn, and declare the year of the Lord's favor. We feel like that is the season. In time of crisis, it's the time to declare the favor of the Lord to those who are poor, to those who are disadvantaged, to those who have no one. So we are saying yes to that call of God. So what does that mean in practicality? We've heard God saying, my son and my daughter, it is time for you to move in with the people you're ministering to. For the past 10 years, it's almost like it's been a helicopter ministry. We go in and land in the townships, we do what we do, we come back in the suburbs, in the city. So God is saying, go back, move in. My grace and my mercy is sufficient for you at this time. So build, it's time to build. So we are moving to Hammersdale, where I grew up, where my whole entire childhood played out, where I encountered God before I even knew His name, where I encountered God before I could pronounce His name. So we are going back there to bring hope. So for the next few months, we're going to be trusting God for resources to actually revamp my mother's house. May God, so just rest her soul. And some of you know that she passed away last year in June. So, and then we're going to move in there and then see what God does and build relationships with the hope of building a community center that is going to be a sanctuary, a safe haven for young people, where they can walk in and they feel at home, where they can walk in, they can be equipped, and they're given necessary tools for them to succeed. But above all, a place where they're going to find Christ, where they're going to reconcile with God so they can reconcile with each other. God has called us to be bridge builders, and we believe this is the birth of it. The COVID-19 has been a crisis throughout the whole world, but for us it has been a time of reflecting and going back to the basic, of preaching the gospel and be there with people. Lastly, God says, for you do not worship a priest who's not accessible, who's untouchable. You do not worship a priest that is far, but you're worshiping Emmanuel, God with us. And God wants us to be there with his people. So pray with us always. Partner with us always. Thank you for being a friend to us. And thank you for being that family to us. And thank you for your funds that you've been for over 11 years since we've been married, supporting us. Without you, we couldn't have done it. So thank you. And we're praying for you and your families. And if there's anything we can do, if we can pray for you, please inbox us, send us a voice note, anything. In fact, we will email you and ask you, how can we pray with you? So thank you and take care, and I hope you are blessed, and I hope you're excited with what God is doing here in South Africa with us, and we're looking forward to see what God does.
Thank you so much again, Lydia, and our friends from South Africa and Lebanon. As you can see, that's just a glimpse of what God's doing in some of the amazing nations that we have on our heart. So we just want to let you know, if you have a real stir in your heart to get in contact with these people that have been shown, or if God's really speaking to you something specific, please let us know. We would love to get you guys in contact with them. So just a reminder, this is the kind of stuff that we want to see happening all the time. We want to champion people that have a vision to see their nations transformed. So if you want to be a part of that vision, practically, financially, then you can click on the link below. It should be here on the screen as well as in the comments. But yeah, I really invite you to pray about being a part of this in a really practical way. So next up, we are going to transition into an interview about creativity with two of our staff members here, Michaela Jenkinson and Katie Hooley. And they're going to be talking about what it looks like to use arts to bring transformation.
Hello and welcome everyone watching at home. Thank you again for joining us tonight. I'm Michaela Jenkinson, I'm from Dublin, and I'm here with Katie Hooley from America. She's an artist. Yep. Now, Katie, you are from Indiana, but you've been living here almost 7 years.
Yeah, that's right.
And you are an artist, but you use art in missions. How did you get started in that?
Yeah, so I think from a young age, I've always loved to create. I've wanted to be an artist when I was young, and until I found out, you don't really make a lot of money as an artist. And so I went into missions anyway. So go figure. But yeah, I think I just put it on the back burner, just a hobby for a long time, until I actually moved here in 2013. And God started to speak to me more about how he can use arts to bless people everywhere around the world, and even right next to me. Yeah.
That's really incredible, and I've been lucky and honored to get to see you do that a bit. But would you like to share a story of a particular piece of art that maybe had an impact on somebody?
Yeah. I've used art in a variety of different ways. I've, given personal pieces to people, people that I know, but then also people, just strangers, on subways, metros, well, the street, kind of everywhere, all over the world. Done murals in different places as well. But one of my favorite stories actually is about this man that I met at a nursing home here. His name was Ian Muir. And if you're watching and you're kind of in the YWAM world, you might know that name. He was kind of one of the, from the beginning, he was there. He's kind of known as like the father of YWAM in Africa, which is really
That's
huge.
really cool.
Yeah. But he ended up, being in a nursing home just down the road from us. His sister lives here, and just shout out to Carolyn Riley. We've communicated so much over the years because of that relationship, which is really amazing. But I actually drew his portrait, and God kind of led me to do that through, it's kind of a crazy story, but we ran an arts and media DTS in 2017, and we went in, and I was like, let's just try and go and meet with people and chat. And we came in, and the only name I could give them was Ian Muir. So we're like, can we go see him? So we kind of got in the door that way. And we ended up just ministering to him and some of the other residents throughout that school, and got to know him. And some of the stories I heard about his life and just the amazing things he had done with God, I was just amazed and also just really touched. Like, here's this man that has just impacted the world, and he's right down the street,
Yeah, wow.
Nobody really knows who he is. So it just felt really strongly to draw his portrait. So one of the days, we were doing outreach, and I brought my pencils and started drawing his portrait. And he really wasn't super coherent that day, actually. And as I was drawing, he would kind of, look at me funny, and he was like, "What are you doing?" kind of. But as I continued, he would kind of show some interest, but he was also like, had no idea what I was doing. So at the end, I said, "Well, I'm gonna come back next week and finish, but this is what I've been working on," and I showed him. And I got up to leave because there wasn't really a reaction or, acknowledgement or anything. And he just grabbed my arm and just said, "Thank you so much for what you've done today." And just, I saw the tears in his eyes, and I was like, oh, okay. I almost started crying, just how powerful that was, that moment of realizing how powerful just that simple act of just looking at someone in the face, drawing their portrait, how powerful that can be in bringing worth back to a person. So that was an amazing time. I got to know him really well. Towards the end of that school, actually, we went on outreach, and then when we came back, he wasn't doing very well, and I found that out, when my family was here on holiday. And so my dad was actually with me, and we pulled up to the nursing home. He's like, "Do you want me to go in with you?" And I was like, "I don't know, that's kind of bizarre, but that's okay, I guess." I don't even know if he's gonna be here because he's so unwell. But we went in anyway, and I remember his sisters were there, and also his brother-in-law, and we were just walking up, and I just remember the look on their face when they saw my dad. They were like bewildered. It was crazy. And they just said, like, "You look so much like Ian's son," like almost like a spitting image. Yeah, it was crazy. So that was a really powerful moment because I got to pray with Ian, even like the next generation of YWAM, I think, to pray for him as he, leaves Earth in a way. And then my dad was there as well, and I knew that really blessed the family, even though it was a total stranger. They had no idea who he was, but even just the resemblance really blessed them, and that I would come, and pray with him, before he passed away. And even at the funeral, it was amazing, just meeting his family and I did see the resemblance of like my dad and his son. But yeah. But it was really a special moment because, you know, when I went up and gave my condolences, I was introduced as, you know, this is the woman that drew Ian's portrait. And it was just like, I just got to see how blessed they were to have that final piece. And so, yeah, I'd really love to pursue that more. And I think it's important to bring worth back to that, you know, person, even at the end of their life, you know, that God's not done, you know, he's not finished. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Like, how many times in your life do you have a total stranger just want to draw your portrait and saying, I see you, you are seen, and you are important, and you are valuable, and wow. So, yeah, and that now that family has that, they have that, and that you're able to not only touch Ian, but you're able to touch his whole family with that. That's really impactful.
Yeah, and I've stayed in touch, you know,
that's so good.
Especially with his sister. We have like an ongoing friendship, and it's really been beautiful.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, process.
Yeah, and then to be introduced as, you know, this is the woman that actually drew Ian's portrait, and that you were known by them as well, that you had that impact. That's really beautiful. Yeah. So during this time in COVID-19, where things are a bit crazy and it's not as easy to go into a nursing home and draw somebody's portrait,
that's a no-go. Do that.
Well, how are you using the arts to bless people in this time?
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of just encouragement, I think, from a lot of different things on social media and just everywhere, really, to herald the arts, you know, to like really let it go, you know, and to have it grow, especially with things facing like mental health and depression and loneliness, anxiety, all of those things that we're seeing a lot, even more rampant during this time of really difficult things. So I think it's been really interesting because God's been doing a lot in the arts in that area, and especially with me too. Still, like it didn't stop, but actually we've been doing a lot more. So I've done some individual pieces for people, and I've been mailing a lot of like smaller pieces out, and just getting a word, getting a picture, anything just to bless someone. Just bring a little bit of light back into their life and remind them that there is hope, like, you know, Aiden was sharing earlier. So I've been doing that quite a bit. There's still a lot more I need to do with that, but we've also been doing, well, we had, around Easter time, we had an exhibition in our front window. And so we would, we like pasted up our old, some of our paintings and drawings and things, and I even painted a bit outside of, right on like my front.
Live exhibition.
Yeah, exactly, people were walking past and interacting with me. I had a really good conversation with my neighbor. It was really an amazing time, actually, and it was really good even to see people. We would just like have our window, like our blinds open, and people would just walk by and then just stand in front of our window. We're like, what are they doing? We forget that it's up, but they would be just staring and watching it, and just like coming back and like, what is that? And what does that say? And it's been really powerful, actually. And I think that's a powerful tool to use during this time.
Yeah, it is really powerful. I know there have been moments where I've received like a piece of art that I just wasn't expecting, and just the gift of art, like it's not just something that you went and bought, it's actually something you put time and actually for you put prayer into and things like that as well, and a lot of thought. You mentioned there at the start that there are a lot of artists rising up in this time, and for those who may be at home in this time who would love to give in the same way you do and use art as a ministry, what kind of encouragement would you give them?
Yeah, I think just do it, just do it. I think that's the biggest thing, is the procrastination is our worst enemy, you know. Just put paint on a canvas or strum a few notes. Don't it doesn't have to look like anything special, but once you start doing some of those creative things, the juices start to flow, and then you can start creating, you know.
Cool.
and I think it also takes a lot of courage, you know.
Yeah.
I even live with some of those fears and knowing like when do I push past those and when do I not. I don't know. I'm not really that talented of an artist, but I try, and that's really a lot of what you have to do. You just have to try.
So you just have to
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and just the beauty and the power of art. That rhymed, not intentional. But Katie Hooley, thank you so much for just being willing to open up and share with us. And I'm sure many people who have heard will be inspired to take on that challenge and make art and give art as a blessing to others. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Michaela.
Thank you, Katie and Michaela. All right, so the arts here are actually a really big part of our ministry. And if you would like to help further that ministry, make sure to check out the link in the comments below where you can donate and help further that. Also, quick shout out to JP, watching all the way from Burundi. Yeah. All right, so our next act is a musical act from a couple who just moved here from America, Zach and Emily.
Thank you, guys. That song was written by Joy Williams, and it's called When Creation Was Young. I love this song because it paints a beautiful, clear picture of God's love for us, all the way back in the Garden of Eden and into the present day. Love is a big theme for us tonight as we reach out to you in your homes. We do so in the same kind of love for our brothers and sisters from these amazing focus nations. And also, this is one of my favorites because it's got that southern charm to it as well, which I love. Now Zach's gonna talk about his song.
I honestly don't know what this song is intended to be about fully. On the surface, it holds themes of finding significance, but there's probably a lot more underneath that I just haven't unraveled yet. So I encourage you to go listen for yourselves after tonight. Not only supporting an independent artist, but maybe find some renewed sense of significance in yourself. And in that process, I know you'll find some of that love Emily was talking about as well. This is called Found You, and it was written by Silicone Boom.
My face is far too common. You could stack me up, but still I'd be forgotten. And I've never found a place among the chosen. Oh, but I rode the wave that gives the world its motion. Yeah, I found you.
so much, Emily and Zach. That was beautiful. Amazing bluegrass types of voices. People have been commenting about it, so well done. All right, next we're going to transition into our game show portion of the evening. So get excited. Yes, it's going to be great. So we're going to be interviewing our founders of the space, Johnny and Jen Clark, and our host will be Johnny Clements. So for this next section, if you have any questions that are burning on your heart to ask Johnny and Jen, put them in the comments below, and we'll see if we can get them on the air.
Do you steal my mic? The one minute. There we go.
Good evening to the YWAM-athon late night show. I'm your host, Johnny Clements, and tonight we have some very special guests, Jen and Johnny Clark, the founders of our base here at YWAM. So welcome, guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Married for over 16 years, parents of 3 wonderful children, amazing friends and leaders to us all. Jen is from Baltimore in the States and runs and organises a lot of our events here. And Johnny, originally from New Zealand, but has called Northern Ireland his home for over 35 years, so he's definitely one of us, and he is our current director of YWAM Ireland. So yeah, thank you guys for coming. You're very welcome. How have you been enjoying the night so far?
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Loving the music, loving everyone's stories, just the best ever, the best.
Yeah, tonight we've had some amazing performances, definitely, and some really deep stories and testimonies, but I think it's time that we swapped it up a little bit and had some fun and played a YWAM-athon classic game called Guess My Answer. So I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions from a random pot, and
Nice.
you're going to have to answer one of them, and the other is going to have to
Win.
guess the answer.
Right.
So Jen, if you could start or join a YWAM base anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh, if I could start or join a YWAM base anywhere in the world, where
Anywhere.
would it be?
City, country, wherever.
Am I meant to guess what she's going to say?
Yeah, of course.
That might give away some of our plans. No.
Hawaii.
All right, I'm going to throw a little bit. Hawaii, indeed. All right, I think there might be a YWAM base already in Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken. Is there one? I'm not sure.
Never
Might
heard of
be.
one, so maybe.
All right, okay.
There's a couple
all right,
islands to
okay,
choose
you're
from.
not going to know this one, so I'm going to
Okay.
throw. All right.
Playing dirty.
Right. So yes. Yeah, so when I applied to YWAM, I applied to Northern Ireland first. No, I applied to South Africa first, Northern Ireland second. I thought whoever gets back to me first is where I'm going to go. And guess who got back to me first?
You.
So, yo. The only time Johnny Clark's ever answered an email in good time. So that's right. Jokes. Jokies. Okay, no,
you
over
wanna write
here.
down your answers, yeah?
Okay, I'm right. Okay, sorry.
No.
But this is a different one. This is a different one. This is if I had not done those 2 options, this is where I would have gone.
Yeah, and to say I have my
You're not going to know this, by the way. John.
I have my little Lebanese bell here, so if time gets out of hand, I'm going to ring it on you.
All right. I've told you this before, but you're not going to remember it.
Okay.
You're not going to know it.
Okay, go.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Go. What does that say?
Miami.
Oh, I said San Francisco.
Oh, that one too.
2 good answers.
It would have been
Two good
there.
answers.
Yeah.
So no point for you, Johnny.
Okay.
Sucker. That is my secret one, though. That was like ages and ages ago. Oh, I lost my
Okay.
week.
Another one for you, Jen. Which move was harder? A move from America to Belfast or Belfast to Rostrevor?
Oh, jeepers. Do I answer this now?
We might have some anger in the audience if you get this one wrong.
Okay, go quick.
Okay, all right.
No,
Do I have to go
take
quick? Who says I have to go quick?
We'll take our time. We'll have fun. Okay,
My
Johnny, what's your
handwriting is
guess?
so bad.
I guess is moving here. I'm guessing moving here was the bigger.
No, it's Belfast Rostrevor.
You. I got that's a point for me.
Yeah, that's
Yay!
good. Hey! Okay, one for you, Johnny. Johnny, what is your favorite thing about being a YWAMer?
Oh, I have to write it down?
Yeah, you write it down.
Ooh, favorite thing.
Jen will guess.
That's quite a deep question.
It is. It's quite existential there, Johnny.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course. Did you think any less of me?
You're not
Okay,
going to
I've
give
got
us
it.
like a. Okay.
I've got it.
Yeah, no, take your time, guys.
Your favorite thing
All
about
right.
being a YWAMer?
You got 5 seconds.
But I don't know, like, is it a adjective? Is it a...
I don't
is
even
it
know
a-
what that means.
You don't do. Okay, I don't know. I'm going to say travel.
Well, that's actually good. That is, I probably should have put that actually. Yeah, that's good. But I
I'm
said
right.
living in Rostrevor.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's true. Too right. Too right.
Had to make up
You're
the
still
last
digging
answer.
out of the old doghouse.
Another one for you, Johnny. Which DTS topic is your favorite to teach on?
Oh, I know that one here. Just
You do a lot, so.
it works better. Mom spit. Nothing gets things off the thing but mom spit.
Of course.
Okay.
Oh, I lost that one too. Oh, there's the other one. Oh, I found them both. There we go. All right. All right, your favorite. Oh.
I've got my answer.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Kingdom of God.
Oh, that's a good answer. That could be right, but I said Father Heart of God.
Oh, but it's Parent Heart of God. Surely you know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You speak on the Mother Heart, and I speak on the Father Heart.
Which makes parents.
Yeah.
So cute, so cute. One for you, Jen. Who is your favorite staff member here at YWAM Rostrevor? That's not Johnny.
That's not Johnny.
She's partial
I
to
can't
people
answer
called
that.
Johnny C. She likes Johnny C.
Yeah, Johnny
I do like Johnny
always
C.
the best.
I
JCs
do
are
like
always the
I
best.
do. The JCs are the best.
Yeah,
They
it's
are
true.
the best.
Who's
I'm
your
not going to answer
favorite
that.
staff member?
I'm not going to answer that
That's tough. Yeah.
because she's not here anymore.
Oh.
Jokes. Oh. No, I don't have a favorite. I love everyone here. Every single person here. They do. I'm not kidding. I love every wonderful. I love McKenna's softness, and I love Katie's intelligence, and I love Michaela, and I love Krista's creativity, and I love.
I think she
Fraz,
should have
and
said you,
do
Johnny.
everything.
I know.
I love
I would have said
everyone.
you.
I'm not lying.
I would have said.
Yeah, I'm going to
But
say
I
Johnny
think
Clements.
I would have said.
I think the
Johnny
audience is getting a bit angsty, so I think they want
Okay,
one
fine.
answer.
Yeah.
Okay, Johnny
Even
Clements.
Jesus had
Johnny
a favorite.
Clements.
Johnny Clements.
Johnny Clements.
There's no competition.
You can't butter me up. Fine. Okay, Jen, I'll ask you this one instead. What is your favorite outreach location?
Outreach
location.
Outreach location.
Outreach location.
Let me see here, Bob.
Favorite place you've been?
For me, personally.
Yeah, for you.
All right,
Not
you
the
have to
best,
answer
but
that
your
too.
favorite.
All right. Okay.
Oh, this one's serious.
Can I have more
Okay.
than one?
No.
All right, ready, go.
Okay,
Okay.
go.
Oh.
People
Alright.
not going to be able to.
One, two.
Oh, look, I got Rwanda. Burundi.
Rwanda. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Point to Johnny again. Okay.
Wait, did
Johnny.
I am, obviously.
No.
No. Incorrect.
I'm winning
Oh, yeah,
because
I get
I'm
a
the
point
favorite
for that.
staff member,
I
so
do
I'm
get a
actually winning.
point
Thank
for
you. Okay, Johnny. What has been your proudest moment during your time with YWAM? Your proudest achievement? Something physical. Something physical.
Oh, I don't know. That's right. He lost a stone on keto last year. Was that it? Is that what it was?
Restarts it every day.
Your greatest achievement. Achievement or what is it? Achievement or
Yeah, achievement.
moment?
Yeah. Something to do specifically with YWAM. Because there are 3 great achievements at the back. So.
Well
yeah,
done.
come on, bring them all up. Bring up the
JD
children.
Ridley, Callum.
Bring up the children.
Come on, quick, just say, come say hi. Just come say hi. No.
It's not my first taste of rejection, but anyway.
That's right. Nor mine.
The Clark boys didn't want to. They don't have their cool,
Rude.
fancy suits on.
Yeah, it's true.
You're in
One
your
more show
play
more.
clothes.
Okay.
Okay. So, what's your guess, Jen?
I would say the greatest achievement or the greatest contribution Johnny has made would be with Rami and the forgiveness work in Lebanon and South Africa.
That's true.
It's a good answer.
Well, it's not necessarily my achievement, but that's true.
Oh, sponsoring.
I said
Yeah,
sponsoring
students.
all of our students.
Well, it's kind of in the same. Yeah, kind of in the same area. So that's.
I should do a little commercial break here. Can I do a
Okay.
little
Yeah, go
commercial
right
break?
ahead.
So Rami is one of like dozens of people that we've brought over here, and I guess one of the points of doing this evening is to really offer people the opportunity to give to our work. We have 5 people we'd love to bring in October, as long as the coronavirus complies with that desire. We'll have someone from Central Africa, Southern Africa, Lebanon, the West Bank, Palestine, and Bosnia, hopefully. So those are big, actually cost money to fly people here, to accommodate them and look after them when they'd normally never have the opportunity to do that. So yeah, it's kind of like I'm not used to saying that, but please give if you can. I think the link is below this in the Facebook page. So.
No, it's good.
Down there.
So that is the game. So Johnny, you win. Congratulations. Let's have a round of applause. Yeah. 2 points to 1.
Y'all don't need to clap so hard.
Oh, that's true. Well, now let's get down to some more serious questions and let the lovely audience at home know more about the history and the good old days of the space. Johnny is a YWAMer. We're not really known, and missionaries are not really known for having so much money, but yet we have this amazing, massive base that we get to use and do God's work from. So maybe tell us the story of how we inherited that base.
So it's a kind of a longer story, but I'll try and keep it kind of succinct. In 2009, we had been working in West Belfast for 8 years in probably the most troubled part of the city of Belfast, and renting houses all over the place. By 2009, it had been 2 of the most challenging years of probably our time in YWAM. Lots of sleepless nights, the bank account was looking pretty empty. And there came a time where I decided to give away a property that YWAM owned. Myself and a few of our directors kind of got together, and we felt that in this country, people have kind of fought over land essentially for years. What more powerful thing could we do than to actually give away something that was worth a couple of £100,000? But it meant we then had nothing left. We just felt that was what God was calling us to do. About a month later, I got a phone call. We didn't tell anyone that, by the way. No one knew that we'd given this property away. About a month later, I got a phone call asking, were we interested in the Christian Renewal Center, which is this building here, which had been just an amazing resource center for reconciliation and really the movement of the Holy Spirit throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I initially said, no, we've just given away one old building. We're not looking for another one. The one we gave away was about a tenth of the size of this. But I said, okay, well, initially I said, no, we're not interested. 2 weeks later, I got another phone call, by which point I thought maybe we should take it, maybe we should inquire. So I rang up the people from here, and they said, look, we just want 2 sides of an A4 piece of paper for your vision of what you want to do. There's lots of organizations that have put in proposals for us to give them the place. So I thought, right, we'll do that. I filled in this kind of 2 pages in an A4.
We were the last ones.
We were the last ones, and I think I never thought we would actually get it. So I sent it off and got a phone call very soon afterwards. Could you come down and meet with us? Jen and I went into the front room of in the building here, and we always say it was like the Jedi Masters of Irish Christianity were in there, and they had been running the center for 40 years. And
I'll tell this bit.
Yeah.
So I was very hesitant about moving down because I had a whole community established in Belfast with friends and mummies and everything. And I said, God, if we're going to move down here, I need your finger on the wall, as it were. And we came in, and these, like the Jedi Masters of Irish Christianity, which we had nicknamed them, sat around, and they said that they said to us, it's very important that you know that each one of us separated, right? We had these names on a list of who this property was going to be given to. And we separated, and we prayed, and we fasted, and we didn't speak to each other, and we didn't have any communication, and we all came back together. We got in a circle, and we shared. And we went around in a circle, and they said, each one of us said, youth with a mission, youth with a mission, youth with a mission, youth with a mission, all the way around this circle, like 12 of them. And that was, I feel like, God's sign to me. And I got teary, and they got teary, and there were lots of tears happening in the piano room, in the gallery room, as we've all been in there. And that was how we knew that God had said, right, well, this place it's meant to be a YWAM place.
So we walked in here a month after giving away a building, and we're given something 10 times the value with a 40-year legacy of peace and reconciliation. So it was an amazing story of provision and God working in an amazing way.
Yeah, just a miracle, really.
Yeah.
So.
That's beautiful, guys. Thanks for sharing. Now, in a second, I think we'll talk about the early days of you guys being here with quite a low number of staff. But first, I want to talk about your guys' early day. And you as young YWAMers, I think we have a video ready to play. Is it going to play now?
Got it. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh no! Where'd you find that?
That's it. So maybe you guys want to talk about your young days in YWAM, even back in Belfast, the very early days.
Oh my gosh.
About you guys personally?
We were very cool, I would say. Well, I was cool. I made Johnny cool.
Yeah,
Johnny was uncool until I came.
You did. I mean, those days were interesting. We ran our first DTS in September 2002. Jen and I just started kind of. She had moved over to America to be with me, and we were figuring out if she was going to stay on. And I proposed her in December to kind of keep her here. That was kind of my way of keeping her. And that school was amazing. Initially, we had no students, and I offered that we would give scholarships to 3 South Africans. I thought if no one wants to do our training course, we'll pay people to do it. We had very little money.
We had no money. We had 500 quid in the bank, and 300 of which Johnny spent on a photocopier that didn't work. So, which you've all heard the story.
Actually, it was all 500 quid.
It was all 500. It was all 500 quid. We had a photocopier that didn't work. But we had these friends in South Africa, and they were telling us about the people they were working with, and we thought, let's do this. We prayed, we did pray, but we also went to the pub. We had gone to the pub, and we had a conversation, and then we prayed.
Yeah, no, it was very quick, and God was kind of speaking to us, and we said, yeah, let's do it. And then we ended up with about 7 people on that first training course. It was 10 months long, or 11. It might have even been 11 months, that first one. It was it's really long. We ended up doing community work with kids whose parents were involved in paramilitaries in West Belfast. A year later, one of our colleagues started to work with the Forgiveness Institute, which took forgiveness training to a dozen schools all around Belfast. We started running a breakfast club in a local primary school in the middle of the Shankill Road, where kids were often coming to school hungry or else high on sugar and Coca-Cola. As primary school kids, and so we would give them a decent breakfast, play games with them, and give them a hug before school. And we did all kinds of things for 8 years, and it was like I remember running up to Lido with our car, filling it with groceries to take back down to feed our guys, and we had to eat before we had to run a youth club. We ran a kids club for primary school kids in the afternoons, and in the evenings a drop-in center for teenagers, as well as a DTS, all at the same time for 11 months.
Yeah,
so,
and that was all while there was lots of feuding going around,
in that community,
and it was palpable, the violence and sort of the energy of warfare and all of that was very, very real. And that was what we just decided to plant a basin. But we felt like, I don't know if I've ever felt God's provision and guidance and care as much as I have in those times. You know, it was incredibly difficult and incredibly hard and dark, but we had the gift of community, and we had the gift of God's provision and His grace, I think, and the Spirit just came to us in a way that only comes when you are desperate for it and you need it. And it was beautiful, and I think that definitely became the foundation on how He built things, you know.
And we were pretty young. I was 26 when we started. We moved to Belfast to pioneer the team there. We were idealistic. By the time that first DTS or the second DTS happened, we had Protestants and Catholics on our team. We had a house on the Falls Road, houses on the Shankill, which really basically, if you don't know, kind of straddle our big division. So there's a big concrete 50-foot wall that runs for a mile up those two streets that keeps the two communities separate. And we had houses on both sides. And and we were trying to be peace and reconciliation. We were trying to be the hands and feet of Jesus in a community that really needed it. We always used to tell the story in those days. I had been very moved by the story I'd heard of a little kid trying to sleep at night, not unlike one of my adorable little angels. And the daddy comes into this little boy and said, "What's the matter, son?" And the boy looked up at his dad and said, "Dad, I can't sleep. I'm having bad dreams." And the dad says, "Okay, son, just pray to Jesus and He'll make the dreams go away." I think I've said those same words to my kids. And the little boy looked up at his dad and said, "But Daddy, sometimes I need Jesus with skin on." And that became like a kind of little story that summed up kind of what we were about, that we were trying to be Jesus with skin on in a community that heard a lot about Jesus, that heard Jesus preached, but they kind of needed to see a vibrant community of people that loved each other, that looked like Jesus, you know, and love people in action. That's kind of what we were about.
So yeah, that's great. And then you moved down here with, what was there, 3 of you and the 2 kids at the time, and you moved in, and now there's 30 of us. So
yes, there's loads of you. You're everywhere. I trip over you. Really, there's so many of you. No, it was wonderful. Yeah, 2 of us. Callum hadn't been born yet, so it was just our wee family and another family and a couple of others. Yeah, and now there's loads of us.
Yeah.
So
do you have any good stories from that time of this space being so empty?
I think the best story I have is when we moved in, we inherited a wonderful Franciscan nun sister called Ada Mary, who still to this day remains very close to our family and
if
part,
you're watching
part of
this,
us.
Anna Mary, we love you.
We love
miss
you, Anna Mary. Woo! Shout out for Anna Mary. So she was brilliant. She was great. She just came with the house, didn't she?
Yeah, and she was, you know, she was in her 7th or 8th decade of her life, and
70s had been a Franciscan sister
all over the world. Papua New
she was
Guinea,
20, had been serving God in Egypt and
the deep south of America.
Yeah, south during the Civil Rights Movement and the U.S. America.
And she moved in with us and did our very first DTS. So
she
it
was here when we moved
it was
in,
a DTS with 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, and a wonderful 75-year-old sister who was really the spiritual kind of mom of our community in that time.
And her deep well of understanding and contemplation and just beautiful nature really helped shape, I think, how we, like us, you and me, I think, and our family. So we're deeply, deeply grateful for her. So she's the best part of what we inherited here. So she's in England.
I do remember when about like 2 weeks after we'd been here, I said to Jen, I'm still not sure how you get to room 7. Or something like that.
Right.
And she goes, "Come with me," and because I had been there for and you quickly just jumped into work, doing stuff, and I was like, "This place is so big. It was so much bigger than anything we had before." And I remember Jen grabbing me by the hand and walking me through the corridors and showing me all the rooms. Like I'd seen it all before, but it was very intimidating to move into a place that was a fully fledged Christian retreat center and just said, "This is yours," you know.
We definitely found our feet, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder how, what was the change in trying to recruit people here whenever you'd moved from the inner city Belfast down to
Sure,
the
you know
lovely Irish
yourself,
border?
right? You know
Oh,
yourself, right? It's not too hard. It's not too hard to recruit people to all of Rostrevor versus the lower Shankill. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it was funny. Belfast was a difficult place, but inner city neighborhood, and we always had a good team there, you know. But 6 months in Rostrevor, and we had a bigger team than we had in 8 years in Belfast. So you know, it's beautiful. Those who are watching, this is kind of known. C.S. Lewis based his understanding of Narnia came from his holidays in Rostrevor. So he said, where the Mourne Mountains come down to the village of Rostrevor, for me that is Narnia. So we're kind of like, we could call us YWAM Narnia, you know. So.
Could be worse, like, yeah.
Definitely could be worse.
Could be worse.
Yeah, I think to finish, for me, a big part of why I love being here and a part of this base and community and even a missionary in my home country, it's just the meaning behind Ancuan, like this harbour message that we've adopted, and I was just wondering if you could finish by explaining that to everybody.
Yeah, so Johnny was preparing me for this and said, I'm going to ask you why you called this place Ancuan, or pronunciation can change a wee bit. My friend, Irish speaker, taught me it as Ancuan. And it really came about when we moved in, we felt we should give this place a name. And friends of ours, Joey and Christy Rowolf, had just done a DTS with us in Belfast, and we're going to move down. And they said, look, I had this dream, Johnny, and we saw this kind of harbour and boats going out into all of Ireland and into all the world, and then boats coming back in. And we feel like this is for this base, this is what it's meant to be. And that really resonated with me, because it was exactly the image that I had was of a place where we would send out teams of young people all around the country and all around the world, especially to places where there's been a history of conflict. And so I thought harbour is what this place should be. But this is an Irish Catholic neighborhood. They love the Irish language here. And I felt like it would be significant to actually give this place an Irish name. So I went and talked to my friend in Belfast, Padraig, and we were talking about names, and he said in Irish, a harbour is Ancuan. So yeah, that's what we called this place. And it's the name of our Monday night gathering. We call it Harbour. But Ancuan has become, you know, who we are. A harbour in the sense of a sheltering, a safe place, but also a harbour as a hustle, bustle, busy fishing town. Boats coming in to get fixed up and then sent out into the world. And that's kind of what we're all about here. And yeah, so that's the story.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. So
Thanks.
I've been your host, Johnny Clements, and we're glad you came. And another
Thanks,
round
Johnny.
of applause
Our
for
favourite staff member.
Oh, yeah. No, Johnny and Jen. So Abby.
Thank you. Absolute couples goals. Thank you, Johnny Clements and Clark. All right. So for our last segment, we have a musical act. But before we begin, I must just remind you that we are one household, all staying very safe from the coronavirus, and we hope you are as well back at home. And I say all this to introduce the Mega Band.
That's my favorite whistle part that I've heard in a while. And hope you have been enjoying this evening. I'm sorry if there's been a little bit of sync issues with the video, but hopefully you've enjoyed this evening. So we're going to sing a wee song, and if you're at home, it's time to get out of your seat and stand up and just join in with a wee song. I don't want anyone sitting on their bums seeing you get up. I'm not a stranger to the dark, the hideaway, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken part. say no one will love you as you are, but I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna stand the flood, I'm gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. I'll be marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me, whoa. Words wanna cut me down. We're gonna stand the flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me, whoa. In a flood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me, whoa.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight in your living rooms, in your kitchens, wherever it is that you've been. We just want to thank you so much for being with us tonight.
And do we have a total of how much we raised tonight?
240 pounds.
240 pounds! Woo! All right, and the link is still live. It will be going on forever. So if you feel led to donate, go ahead and do that.
That's awesome. And I would just really love to finish off with a wee prayer over you and over every person that's put so much time and effort into what we've come up with today. So, yeah, Jesus, I just want to thank you that you are the God that binds us together. God, in a time where isolation is so real, God, you are what connects us all. That from places like South Africa and Lebanon and Northern Ireland, God, that you are what connects us. And Lord, I just pray for a blessing over our friends and family that have joined us today. God, would you be with them and remind them that they're never alone and that they can be who they are by your name, Jesus. Lord, I just want to thank you for, just giving us creativity to celebrate in a time of darkness, in a time that would want to tear us apart, God, that we get to stand here and celebrate because you are good, and that you've given us creativity and music and things to proclaim about your goodness. God, I thank you for who you are and that you are so good to us here and now. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, and have a good night.